Hey, Cleveland. This is Anderson Varejão of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You are listening to the Sports Fix.
You are the voice of the Sports Fix. So pick up your phone now and call 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome back in, you guys. We are live, off and running, Thursday edition of the Sports Fix. J-Rocc here with you guys again on the air, getting things going, and of course, fluidity moving behind the scenes, as it always does here in the Sports Fix. It's, like I say, variety is the spice of life. It's all good. It's a spicy meatball today. We got a lot of things to get into, you guys. Indians and by the way, last night was a double dose of goodness. We're going to talk about, man, right off the bat here, first segment, we'll talk about both of those games last night as the Indians and the Cavaliers come through last night, and getting closer here. Home opening day part 2, as I like to call it, man, coming up tomorrow. We're going to talk about that with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com a little bit later on here in the show. Talk some Cavs hoops with Mike as well. John McMullen from the Sports Network set to join us here today, getting ready to do the thing. I cannot wait, you guys. As you know what? Let's not wait anymore as we get things rolling. Let's do the Sports Fix thing. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. A whole lot to get into on this Thursday edition of the show. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, welcoming you in live each and every weekday at noon right here across the Sports Fix radio network. Maybe that means you're enjoying the show live on TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective digital and mobile applications. Perhaps you're listening to the show on the sportsfix.net, our one-stop shop. I've got messages flying in across social media, across text messaging here as I try to get the show off the ground and running here. Whether you're listening on TuneIn, Spreaker, Mixler, live on the sportsfix.net, our home base, your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports, however you're doing it. Maybe you're listening to the show on digital delay, one of the thousands around the world enjoying the show on sites such as iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud and CarPlay, all of the various places that you guys do the thing and get your fix. Thank you so much for doing it. As I said, I'm Jerry Myers. They call me the Big Daddy on the microphone. They call me the conductor and the coordinator of this madness that we do, and I want you to call me. Just call me. Just that simple of a segue. Phones are open. Be the voice of the Sports Fix. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535. Can't get through or can't use your phones, perhaps you're listening on your mobile device like so many of you do, then use social media to your advantage. Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. You can email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Again, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Mike Brandenberry. Matter of fact, I may get him on even earlier in the show than I was planning on here. He's traveling, making his way up through the mountains. He'll probably be heading through West Virginia here and so on and so forth as he's coming through. But looking forward to having him on. I want to talk some Indians baseball. Let's start right there. The Cavs here in just a minute. Cavaliers clinched the Central Division, but the Indians, they got back at it here yesterday. And as we were talking, of course, we we did a bunch on the show here with Dan Wismar, and looking forward to seeing Carlos Carrasco. I said personally, I wanted to see, how Carlos Carrasco does. I'm always interested in how guys perform right after they put that pen to paper when it comes to putting the big contract commitment down. And we talked about the health ramifications and some of the different things there. But, I wanted to see, because Corey Kluber went out there, had a pretty good opening slate, even though the Tribe dropped it. And guess what? They returned the favor last night. It was almost the exact opposite game. Another good one on both sides. Couple of solo home runs, get the offense going for the Indians. And there we go again. I know some people start with that already, but I'm with it. It only takes one when you got a pitcher going out there and delivering like Carlos Carrasco did yesterday. It's just the first start of the season for him, but he picked up right where he left off last season, you guys. I mean, that was nice. 6 1/3 innings, strong innings last night. He had double-digit strikeouts, 10 Ks, and the Indians get the victory there. That is the 4th career start for Carrasco where he has double-digit strikeouts, and all 4 have come in his last 7 starts. The last 6 starts of last season and his first one here today. Kluber and Carrasco, fresh off of their contract signings over the weekend, all them millions of dollars inked to paper. 2 runs in almost 14 innings here in the first couple of games. 17 strikeouts between the 2 pitchers, and that's early on a good sign for that 1-2 combination there. But really a good start for Carrasco, Santana, and Aviles. Couple of home runs there to back him up. Aviles's was a monster shot or what. And then the bullpen. Hagedorn came in. I'll tell you what. Talk about game-changing moments, you guys. It was, it had to be with when Hagedorn comes in and the error over there at Chisenhall on third, and next thing you know, it looks like, oh man, it could be a tough luck. I was thinking, man, Carrasco could have stayed in a little bit longer. I'm not gonna lie, I was second guessing Tito for sure. I'm like, man, Carrasco was looking pretty good there, man. I don't know why we monkeyed around and went to the bullpen. Should have got a couple more outs out of him, but there you go. What a one pitch, boom. Zipchinski took care of business, gets the double play ball. Shaw, Cody Allen, Chickenal comes in, gets the first save of the season, and the bullpen does what you want it to do. And for one night there, that's the formula on how the Indians want to win a whole bunch of these over the course of the next 160 games, with some strong starting pitching, with a little bit of offense here, a little bit of that long ball, whatever, however you get it, when you've got the strong starting pitching and then a bullpen that can come out there and take care of business, even when it looked a little shaky there at first. They took care of business, righted the ship, and there you go, man. And the Indians sit at 1-1 now, heading into the rubber match of this one, which we're gonna. By the way, yeah. See, I already started to say it. Now I'm gonna screw it up. We're gonna try to get out of here as early as possible today for you guys, because they've got the afternoon getaway, 2:10. Our time here, local Cleveland time. First pitch for this one today, Trevor Bauer and Asher Wojciechowski taking the mound for the Houston Astros. Trevor Bauer makes his first start of the season for the Indians as they look to win their first series of the season here against Houston. The rubber match today, 2:10, and then of course we come home and you got the Detroit Tigers, and it looks like pitching matchups set for those matchups here coming up this weekend. With the Indians and the Tigers, Kluber and David Price on Saturday. That should be a really good one. TJ House going on Sunday. Zach McAllister and Alfredo Simon will be the starting matchup for tomorrow's home opener. That should be a good one as well. Trevor Bauer, though, going today. And as I said, Mike Brandenberry is going to be with us here in a little bit from didthetribewinlastnight.com. We'll talk some more about the Indians here, his thoughts on the first couple of games that we've seen. I want to hear from you guys, by the way. Where are you at? I mean, look, please don't give me the crazy stuff. We're not trying to do that 2 games into the season, but how are you feeling? I mean, you have to feel encouraged seeing the starting pitching, the first 2, especially Carrasco. I know a lot of people, even after the signing of the contract, said, well, we still got to see. And it's only one start. It is only one start. I think plenty of times we've seen guys fade off and start hot or start slow and then get hot, all the different things. There's many ways it can go, but that's a good sign, pick it up right where he left off. And really, though, we were seeing that a lot, even though the Tribe was scaling him back, and they talked about it a lot. They had to keep kind of pulling back the reins a little bit on Carrasco during spring training because he was chomping at the bit and wanting to. Hey, I would too. If I found whatever it was that I was looking for, I'm trying to get locked in on that too. And they had to pull him back a bit sometimes in the spring here, but you could kind of feel it coming. And I said, man, I got a feeling when we were previewing the show here earlier this week, I said, Kluber doesn't have to sell me on anything. The big question is, what's Carrasco going to do? And if you can take anything out of the spring, which you can't always, he was one I was feeling good about. First start in the books makes you feel good for sure. We'll talk some more Tribe here in just a little bit when I get Mike Brandenberry in on the conversation from didthethribewinlastnight.com. We'll talk some Cavs as well, too. The Cavaliers last night had the doubleheader of hoops and baseball going on. Oh, Bruce, you know what? Yeah, before I get to the Cavs, I was going to talk about it with Mike, but Bruce in the chat room, great point. Last night, I had a bunch of you guys hitting me up and going, hey, man, you see the new uniforms for the Indians? And they had made the announcement in the offseason about it, but the darker colors that actually look almost black, depending on your definition of television. But I liked them, by the way. I liked the darker uniforms. I liked the way it looked. I was digging it. But, Bruce, great point. There was no hour-long where was the blue carpet special? Where was the blue carpet? I think News Channel 5 missed out on something here, man. Why don't we have why didn't we spend hours and hours of off-season sports talk time that could have been dedicated to the team that was actually in season or dedicated to the actual team and not the color of their uniforms? Why didn't we have months of debate about this and speculation? Nope, they just came out in some uniforms and played some baseball. There was no big hubble about the uniforms yesterday. I liked them though. How about you guys? All jokes aside, at the Browns' expense. What did you guys think about the uniforms? I dug them. As I said, it looked almost black to me, and I'm with it, man. I don't mind that, and I thought they matched the hat obviously more. I think that's why, I believe, because it's a more match to the more color match to the hat. But yeah, no blue carpet special. I'm telling you, Cleveland media, you guys missed out on weeks worth of debate. And you know what? Bruce is on a roll here in the chat room because as I was getting ready to talk about the Cavs Central Division champs, and I'm not the biggest on that. Like, I kind of got mad at Fred McLeod last night when he brought up that stat. Well, LeBron's won 7 consecutive Central Division titles. And then the list comes up and Kendrick Perkins is above him with 8. And I'm like, okay, because he tried to equate it. He goes, LeBron James just did something that Michael Jordan never did. That was a good point until the list showed that Kendrick Perkins has also done it too, and he's done it for an extra season longer than LeBron. And then I go, oh, so how come you didn't say Kendrick Perkins did something that Michael Jordan didn't do? I know what he was trying to do, and I'm with it. I'm not in any way criticizing anything about last night's game, about LeBron. I'm on the positivity train. I just thought that was a reach, and I was with it until the list came up. Like I said, when I saw Perk on there, I said, okay, well, you were stretching for that one, McLeod. But yeah, no front page on that either. But the Browns are 7-4, and that gets its own special section in the Plain Dealer about the potential playoff matchups. And the Cavs win the Central, and it's like, yawn, what's next? And I'm with it. To me, division titles aren't a big deal. They're not a huge deal, especially in basketball. I'm a little more partial to them in baseball because there's more premium on them, I think. Most definitely. So I put a little more into them in baseball, most definitely. I would put more stock into a division winner than a wild card team and things like that. You know what I mean? But basketball, same with football too. You know, a little bit less because the divisions are a little more competitive. It's shorter, smaller groupings. I don't know. You got the rivalries. Even in football, I think in basketball, winning the division is the least prestigious of any of the 3 major sports. I don't know. That's just, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm definitely not looking bad at it. Way to go, Central Division champs. More importantly, Cavs lock up the 2nd seed in that one. They had a tough one last night with Milwaukee. Tried to run away with it, but that wasn't happening. Milwaukee kept staying in it. Milwaukee, they're struggling to stay in, period. I mean, they lose another game and a half in the standings in the last 4 games, And they end up playing the Cavaliers perhaps in the first round of the playoffs because they've really missed a chance to try to solidify their seeding in that 6th area, maybe even creep up to 5. Instead, they may see themselves free fall down because you've got 5 other teams. We've been talking about it for about a week or two now, the grouping down there, how competitive it is. I mean, as competitive as it can be for sub-500 teams. But anyways, Milwaukee needed that one, got it down close, and they had it within a 2-point game. LeBron hit that step-back three-pointer at the end, and that was the distance that the Cavs needed to finish it off. But, I mean, the team came up in general playing some defense when they needed to, especially early on in the game. Like I said, they tried to run away with it and get that rest early, but they had to get out there and put it to them late in the game because they allowed Milwaukee to come back. And I don't know if that's necessarily the way to look at it either, because Milwaukee fought their way back. I mean, I always hate to not give credit on the other side. LeBron had 10 of his 21 in the fourth quarter, had that big three-pointer at the end. Kyrie led the way with 27. Kevin Love with, what was that, his 41st or 40th double-double of the season last night, 16 and 11. They play 82 games, fellas. If you can't do the easy math, that means 1 and 2. Every other game, Kevin Love's getting you a double-double. I mean, matter of fact, I did a radio interview yesterday after the show, yesterday evening, just an internet thing on Mixler. Young kid trying to get a thing going. Sports writer on the Land Sports Show, I believe it was. Whatever, we were talking about it, and he asked me about Kevin Love, and a good kid, nice show. It was a fun little time, and I said, man, anybody going crazy about Kevin Love is nuts, man. Like he is definitely exactly the role that he needs to be on this team, able to be whatever they need him to be from night to night, but he's in the trenches. As I said, he's a walk-in double-double. He's in there, and you know what? This is all I'm going to say about Kevin Love. You hear the barking from everybody but Kevin Love about Kevin Love, and that's what I like about him. I was going to say love, but I didn't want to pull out a cheap pun, but that's what I like about him, is the fact that you've heard from everybody else about how much Kevin loved this and wants to do that and can't wait to leave here and doesn't like this. You've never heard none of it. There's no distractions. There's none of that nonsense, man. It is doing what we've got to do to get where we've got to go. Cavaliers continue to do that, and now you're into the place where you can rest a little bit. And I think, as we were talking earlier in the week, I don't think it's a deal where everybody rests every game, although I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron sits at least the majority of these. I don't know. I'd rotate, but I'm not David Blatt. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if you're going to see everybody sit. If we're just going to say, hey, man, Brendan Haywood may be the starting center for the rest of the season. You may see a lineup of James Jones and Mike Miller, Haywood, Delly will be your starting point guard, and Shumpert, and that could potentially be your grouping for the last few games of the season. I don't know though, man. I don't know. I'd give everybody a couple games off, and then maybe that last game of the season, first half, everybody goes out there and plays full tilt as the starting unit, just to get one run together in some real action, and then you bench everybody for the second half. I don't know. I don't know if it's good to go into the playoffs with a week and a half of getting out of that sync, because the Cavs have just been in such good sync and in such a good role that you would hate to see that kind of take a step back, although I highly doubt it would take long to get back into playoff mode once they get going. But anyways, Cavaliers did what they had to do last night, came up big, got the victory against the Milwaukee Bucks. It clinches not only the Central Division, but it locks up the Cavaliers as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They've got home court advantage all the way through, unless they were to meet the number 1 seed Atlanta Hawks, which is a potential matchup down the road here. Should be a fun ride. 51-27 is where the Cavaliers sit. 4 games remain in the season for them, including a couple with Boston. We'll talk some more about that when we get back in here next week. Man, cannot wait. When we get back in here next week, we'll be past all the hubbub about the Indians home opener. They'll just be playing some ball every day. Cavaliers will be down to the final game or two. We'll really start to really start to feel that playoff fever start to pick up. I don't know about you guys, man, but I am so ready. It's impossible to push that fast forward button any faster and get to the first playoff game. We're going to talk about this some more here in just a little bit with Mike Brandenberry. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to track down Mike Brandenberry now, man. Like I said, we got things fluid and moving all over the place behind the scenes, and so let's see what's going on. I'm going to try to track down Mike Brandenberry, see if he wants to join in on some Indians and Cavaliers conversation as we get going here on today's edition of the Sports Fix. Guys, you keep the conversation going. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. It is a Thursday edition of the Sports Fix, and we are off and running. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, ton of things to get into. We'll get Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com in on the conversation. Talk some Indians, talk some Cavaliers. Hopefully we're going to get John McMullen in on this thing a little bit later on and more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on The Fix.
Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. We here at the Sports Fix and our affiliates would like to apologize for any disturbing verbal actions, but remember, it's better having them trapped in a box than loose on the streets. Public service announcement from the Sports Fix. The Sports Fix, the sports show that cares.
The wait is finally over, guys. Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long. Here we go again at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments, just instant cash, instant gratification. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? At DraftKings, it's like a brand new season every time you play. Just select 2 pitchers and 8 position players, stay under your salary cap, and you could be on your way to an enormous payday. Last year, Peter from Colorado won $1 million at DraftKings in one day just playing fantasy baseball. Hundreds of thousands of fantasy sports fans, just like you and I, have already cashed in at DraftKings. Now it's your turn, baby. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code SPREAKER to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million. Yes, I said $300 million in prizes being awarded this baseball season. Use promo code SPREAKER for free entry now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Hey, Sports Fix fans, I'm Fred McLeod, TV voice of the Cavaliers. When I'm not busy taking elbows from my buddy Austin Carr, I'm tuning in to see what the guys are saying. Come on, Cavs!
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Cleveland
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the side!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rocc back with you here, rolling on, getting ready to be joined. He's somewhere over and in the mountains. My man, Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTryWinLastNight.com. See, sometimes it's intentional here. Sometimes we know what we're doing. My man, rolling through the mountains. We're going to get him here in on the conversation and talk some Cavs, talk some Indians, all those fun things here that are going on in the world of Cleveland sports. And who knows, man, we find ways to get all kinds of things in the conversation. You guys can get in on the conversation as well on Facebook and on Twitter. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. You can always email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. By the way, as I was mentioning yesterday on the show, tomorrow, all the hubbub with the Indians home opener, not just on my end, but on your end, on guests' end, on everybody's end. It's not conducive to doing a live show, so we're not going to do a live show tomorrow. But you know what? Instead of just leaving things blank, for those of you that are like, hey, look, I'm not going to the game. I'm not even in Cleveland. I'm in Timbuktu, and I just want to listen to the show. I'm going to pull out the Tom Hamilton out of the archives, and we'll play that one here in honor of the home opener. So we'll still have something on the air tomorrow, but it's not going to be a live show. All right, guys, keep it going. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. You cannot use the phones because that's where you'll find Mike Brandenberry somewhere in the mountains. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTryWinLastNight.com. How you doing, my man?
I'm a little anxious right now, Jerry. I'm not going to lie to you. Normally when I talk to you, I'm sitting in a nice cushiony chair at my desk or sitting on my deck in the summer. And today I'm sitting in a car going around mountains. And I am a guy who doesn't like anything to do with heights. And even just being up high and then going back down low and going to the left and going to the right is pretty much what we've done for a couple hours. And we'll probably have another hour or two of that to go. So people have anxiety and anxiousness about all kinds of things. That's mine. So how am I doing? I'm doing anxious.
What are you doing, by the way? Why are you through the mountains and over the rainbow and all of that? Is this top secret mission, or what do you got going on?
I am on my way home from watching 2 practice rounds, 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, from the Masters in Georgia. So we dropped some friends off at the airport this morning, and we're on the dusty trail headed back to Cleveland by dinner time for the home opener for tomorrow.
I was just about, you know what? For me. You just caught me because I was going to say, hey, wait a minute. Why are you coming back? Why'd you watch the practice rounds and you're coming back? And then, of course, silly me, because there happens to be a little thing called the home opener coming up tomorrow.
I'm not going to, if I were passes for tomorrow, I'd still be there. So we can make it sound like I went to the home, or I put the Indians first. But passes are hard to come by, so you take what you can get, and what we could get was Tuesday and Wednesday. And if you ever have an opportunity to go, man, TV makes it look beautiful, and TV does it no justice still, Jerry. It is amazing.
I'll tell you what, man. You know what, though? I've had a lot of friends that have done that, and a lot of golf buddies, and they've all said similar things. They're like, "This, you got to put this on the bucket list, even if it's not your thing, man." And it is. It's on the list of things because there's certain things that you just want to be able to say, "Hey, I went and did that." And yeah, so that's there. But yeah, everybody tells me that for sure here, man. You know what? Talk about you got to take what you can get, and it's perfect segue into the theme. I got not necessarily this theme of the week. You're not taking what you can get when you're getting $22 million, $38 million. But you and I haven't talked since the Indians kicked off the season and locked up a couple more players in some long-term contracts here with Kluber and Carrasco, and I'm willing to say that the first couple of appearances by them this season made people feel even better about what the Indians did last weekend.
Yeah, for sure. One of my tweets last night, I was lucky enough to watch most of last night's game, and I mean, Carrasco was, you look like August and September, Carlos Carrasco. So that's a good thing, and I'm one that isn't, 100% on that bandwagon yet, but I mean, last night was one day closer to all of us that maybe don't completely buy in to buying into Carlos Carrasco. And obviously the Indians have, in more ways than one, they've bought into Carrasco with that contract extension. So I like both deals. I mean, from the Indians' point of view, I think they're both, good contracts. They take both of them into their 30s, and you're paying for the prime of their careers at really a fair or below market value. So I really don't know how anyone could be upset with either of those deals.
Oh yeah, trust me, I'm in the thumbs up, both thumbs up category. I was just wondering your thought, and in general, it continues that pattern of setting up the core here. And I mean, for all the complaints, let's go in this conversation for a little bit before we get into the beginning part of the season, for all the complaints about the Indians and what they do wrong and nobody can ever be happy. And matter of fact, I don't know about you guys on your end, did the Tribe win, but on my end for sure, I was amazed. I got into some stuff with people because of I don't want to say hypocrisy is necessarily the word, but that's a lot of it, because it's like sometimes people just can't do right no matter what. It's like no matter what people do, you're going to find some fault with it. And there's like some portion of the Indians fan base that was like that with this. And I'm like, so if they don't sign these guys and they trade them away, we're mad that we're trading everybody away for prospects. And then if we do sign them, we're mad that we didn't take advantage of the time that we could have. I couldn't believe there were people arguing that we should have taken more advantage of the ability to take advantage of a guy. And I get that. And I did think that maybe the Indians would wait one more season with Kluber. But either way, you're missing the point that you're taking advantage of the guy at some point, even though it is within the rules. And plus, I reminded people that it wasn't like Corey Kluber was going to be $500,000 a year for the next 4 years. Arbitration was going to fix that really quickly anyway. So he wasn't going to be a dime and a dozen. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't going to be it's not like the Indians cost themselves millions and millions, and trust me, they saved themselves millions in the long run, because I think that it's going to be a very good deal. But did you guys get some of that? I mean, just in general, you probably see it with the Tribe. That damned if you do. It doesn't matter if the Dolans don't spend money, they're cheap. If they spend money, they signed the wrong guys. It just seems like no matter what they do, somebody's not going to be happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Indians fans, fans in general, I think, are always critical of the teams that they love. I mean, there are people that still think, that the Cavs should have never traded for Kevin Love. Every Browns fan has their own opinion on what they should do with the draft. And, it's all clear. It's all 2020 in hindsight. But, I mean, I
always
think, the best way to look at it is, a lot of people, whether they want to admit it right now or not, applauded this organization before the 2013 season, and the Indians themselves touted that they spent, $111 or $113 million, and they committed to Michael Bourne, Nick Swisher, Mark Reynolds, and Brett Myers. And, I mean, you look at that commitment versus the commitment that they've made in sewing up, Jan Gomes, Jason Kipnis, Michael Brantley, Corey Kluber, and Carlos Carrasco. I mean, I kind of tweeted it from the car on Sunday as the news kind of broke. We've talked about this before, not committing to the $6 million man, and there's four kind of players that you want to have if you're a small market team like the Indians. And one of those players is, the guy that you've homegrown or developed and then make a long-term commitment to. And those are the guys I think you want to always be building around, because those are the guys you're going to know the best. They grew up in your system, and they've developed into players that you trust and believe in to give money to. And, when you bring in other people's players, those guys are usually the most costly coming off the free agent market. And I mean, just look at it from simplest terms. If you're going to spend a lot of money, do you want to spend money on guys that you know or guys that you don't know? And even more simpler, do you want to spend money for guys in their 20s, or do you want to spend money on guys in their 30s for the production that they put up in their 20s? Because that's really, I mean, when you break it down at this point, to me, I mean, that's the difference between those groups. The Indians put a lot of money in guys in 2013 who had success in other places and during their 20s. The Indians are now investing in guys so that they can reap their benefits while they're still in their 20s and in the prime of their career, in this organization. So, I mean, to each his own, and like you said, I mean, there'll be people that'll never be happy. So, I mean, I don't know, where you're getting a better deal on a Cy Young Award winner than what they got on Corey Kluber. And like you said, I mean, they could have opted to go year for year, but, just wait and take a look at some, or go back and look at some pitching numbers. It's a little bit of apples and oranges because it's his third year in arbitration, and next year would have been Kluber's first. And it obviously starts, I chuckle to say starts small because Corey Kluber would have got millions. But David Price was in his third year of arbitration this year, Jerry, and he settled before going to arbitration with the Tigers. He settled for $19 million. So, I mean, that's where the Indians could have potentially been with Corey Kluber in just a couple years. If Kluber is a Cy Young Award contending, if he's a top 10 pitcher in the American League for the next couple years, you want to go year to year. Well, you're going year to year, and where you're going to get is somewhere around $20 million a season if that's what you do. And I mean, I think it's majorly to the Indians' advantage to lock in their rate. I think Corey Kluber and his agent did a nice job of building in a ton of incentives. So I think if he is that top 10 level type pitcher in the American League, he's going to turn that $38 million into a whole lot more. I know, the peak incentive, gets them to $77 million.
Yeah.
If you cash in, some or all of that, $55, $60 million, good money. I think
good money if you can get it, baby.
They'll do just fine. I think Amanda and the kids will have clothes on their back for quite a while now.
Yeah, I got to put food on my table too. Who was it that said Sprewell? Latrell Sprewell said, "I've got to look myself in the mirror. I've got kids to feed," and it was like he was turning down some ridiculous multi-million-dollar contract, and he actually used the phrase, "I've got kids to feed. I got to put food on the table." But anyways, I'm with you, and Dan Wismar and I were talking about it earlier this week, just comparing different contracts, and of course they're all different. But just look at the last Cy Young winner and the contract that he just signed, and you look at those $30 million seasons coming up in that thing, and that's today's dollars. I mean, so just imagine what a deal Corey Kluber's contract will be in a few years. And then the worst side is that both of them, for people that go, well, what if they don't? Okay, if they don't turn into what people think that they will for a long-term period of time, they're still going to be at worst serviceable, adequate pitchers for a period of time, unless like arms just fall off. And even then, you know, when you brought up the signing spree a few years ago, and you look at a guy like Brett Myers or a Gavin Floyd deal, any of these, look at the going rate for these average starting pitchers, and you've still got Kluber and Carrasco locked in at that rate 5 years from now, you know?
Right. You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, first, you know, if arms fall off, as you say, you know, I mean, that's the risk of a contract, you know, in any way. I mean,
yeah.
You know, in some ways, that's what's happened with Gavin Floyd. The Indians took a risk, and it's not going to work out. But you know, the other factor that you brought in is, you know, look at the going rate. I mean, Gavin Floyd coming off of and 2 arm injuries, they still had to commit $4 million to. I mean, Brett Myers, they committed $6 million to for that season. And you know, no matter what you think Corey Kluber will be over the next 5 years, or what you think Carlos Carrasco will be, you know, I mean, if you're somebody like me and you're, you know, I'm not doubting that he isn't going to be the quality of pitcher. I'm just not necessarily ready to jump on board as that's what I expect out of him, as what we saw last August and September. But you know, I mean, if those guys are healthy and serviceable and giving you innings and a chance to win every 5th day, I mean, that contract, that's the going rate on the free agent market or below the rate. So, I mean, and those examples of Brett Myers and Gavin Floyd, I mean, are perfect in that those are flawed pitchers at the time the Indians signed them. And you're going to have Corey Kluber and Carlos Carrasco, you know, for similar season salaries for several years. So, I mean, that's the going rate. I think the other thing, you know, while we sit around and applaud the Indians, I think the other thing to give them credit for, or maybe at least to point out, I'm not sure if they deserve credit, or, you know, maybe sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But, you know, in the last 13 months, they've signed these 5 guys, Carrasco, Kluber, Kipnis, Gomes, and Brantley. And I think, you know, it's easy to forget, but all 5 of those guys have been signed since talks broke off with Justin Masterson. And if you want to talk about, you know, it's either, you know, better to be lucky than good, or credit the Indians with, you know, maybe knowing their clientele a little better than the rest of us did, because I think, you know, the common fan was pretty upset and felt that the Indians were being frugal and not extending him. Well, I mean, I think it's very fair to assume that all 5 of these players would not be on long-term deals right now had they given a bunch of money to Justin Masterson. And certainly the Indians would not be in as good a situation had they given him that money.
No, and what's so ironic about what you just said is that if this core continues to grow together, pitcher at the level of Justin Masterson will be glad to come play for that Indians team at a much cheaper rate over the next 4 or 5 seasons because of that core that you've now got locked in there too, you know. And Santana,
he'll be one of those guys that's willing to play for Brett Myers' money.
You know it. But I mean, even Santana I include in that grouping a bit too, because they've got him until at least, what is it, 2017 or 2018?
Yeah, he's through 2017 with a club option for 2018.
Yeah, so I group him into that grouping there as part of your core group too. But yeah, and I mean, to me, that's a hell of a base for a club, and that's not just talking like here in Cleveland, man. Yeah, even if you don't like the makeup of the roster as it stands today, that is a hell of a core to build this team around and try to now find the right pieces to complement the roster.
For sure, and not to you know, ask for too much of the Indians, or not to get greedy, but you know, if they want to continue this trend and they want to build this core, you know, something that they should consider before they get to the arbitration zone is what kind of deal can they work out with Cody Allen, because you know we can probably do 30 minutes on, you know, what's the value of a relief pitcher, or you know, are you overpaying or underpaying? But going year to year for a relief pitcher and paying for saves is quite foolish in my mind. So, maybe you overpay a little bit in the short term to get a little bit of a long-term commitment from him and set the rate so that, you don't look up and find yourself, facing an arbitration year here soon, 2 or 3 years down the road where you're forced to pay Cody Allen $8 or $9 million like they were a couple years ago with Chris Perez.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he looked good last night too, You're out there smoking, man. I mean, it's so easy one game, just like people get all down. It's so nuts after the first one, and then everybody's like, yay, after the second one. But as you saw last night, I think last night showed the formula for how the Indians hope to win a whole bunch of games this season, man. Strong starting pitching, a bullpen that gets the job done, and offense that comes through enough to support that pitching.
Yeah, it sounds good on paper, and me, I'm always the wet blanket to every good party. But this let's not use the phrase "it's still early." We already all know that. So this offense is looking very much like last year's offense, and it is early, and a lot can change, and it is just 2 games.
Yes, it is.
I mean, let's be honest. Last year, there was a lot of pressure put on this bullpen and on this rotation at times.
Yeah,
and,
especially in the second half. Yeah, for sure.
And letting some non-high leverage innings from time to time would be nice. And the way that happens is by scoring some runs. So,
because I know what you mean.
I don't think I don't want to jump the gun and make a bigger deal out of 2 games. But let's be honest, we saw anemic offense at times last year, and what we've seen in 2 games is anemic offense.
No, I totally get what you mean, because by leveraged innings, I mean, that's what most of these innings were in the first 2 games, because it was a close game. It was a tight-fought game, and the games were right there for either team. So, and I know what you mean. You play 162 of those, and you're going to beat your team down because you can't sustain that. There has to be some 10-0 games in there where the bullpen can relax. There has to be, a couple of 5-run innings where you can go, take a breath. I know what you mean. They can't all be every pitch is important and every out is important, and that's what you get when you're in a 1-run game. And if you're in a ton of them, then you're just gonna it taxes the team, it taxes all.
Right.
I know exactly what you mean.
And say whatever you want about the offense, but the fact of the matter is that last year, 81 games, they scored 3 runs or less.
Yep,
I mean,
I know.
That's troubling. I mean, you can chop up the total stats however you want, but essentially every other day that they went out there, they scored 3 runs or less, and that's not good. And they're, 2 more in the file for this year. So, I mean, to me, I agree with you. This team is going to win on their pitching, but we also know that their defense is a giant question mark and concern, and they're going to have to get more than a couple runs a night out of their offense from time to time. And I shudder when we almost make it sound like it's acceptable to, I don't remember what your exact words were, but score just enough. I think there's a number of guys on this team that, offensively, scoring just enough is not okay. And, the Michael Bournes and the Jason Kipnises of the world, again, it's just 2 games, but those guys need to get it going. I mean, to me, and those are guys that, let that team down a year ago. And, this offense has got to produce better.
I agree with you. I do agree in totality of what you're saying, but man, I can't even look at 2 games like that. Like I don't even know who's batting what, because I'm not even paying attention, because it's 6 at bats, 8 at bats, 9 at bats. You know what I mean? Like
sure. They scored 10. They scored 10 runs today, and I mean, the concerns are still there, and you can twist the numbers, and it's why we say for 6 weeks, it's still early, small sample size, all those cliches.
What's your cutoff point? When do you start taking them serious? What's your cutoff? Because I go about 50 games or so before I even start looking at really what's happening, and even then, that's still so early in a 162 game season. But what is your point where you start really saying, okay, let's pay attention to some stuff?
I mean, a lot of good baseball people feel that, 40 games is a good point. To me, that's a quarter of the season. That gets you, roughly to around mid-May. I mean, I think once you get to the end of April to mid-May in there, I mean, you kind of know what you have. I mean, you've been through your rotation, probably about 5 times there. If you're hitting 200 on May 10th, there's good reason to be concerned, whether it's, game 35 or game 43. So, I think somewhere in that range, your trends, they are what they are at that point.
See, to me, offensively, that's the place where I have the hardest time judging what happens in April and May, because there's cold weather. There's all kind, and everybody deals with it. But what I mean is, I think hitting-wise, offensively, once you get to the summer, once you get into the June and July months, I think that's when you get a better judgment. I know I'm not trying to discount the first month and a half of the season, but, I think that, I don't know. I think, and you traditionally see a lot of guys warm up as the weather warms up, and there's a reason for that.
Sure, and in fairness, we pay more attention to early statistics because, one, it's the only thing we have.
That's all we got, yeah,
in terms
right.
of the season. and two, when you look at splits, it's easy to look at that split. We're very cognizant of guys that start slow. I mean, how many guys do you know that historically have terrible second halves? You don't have as long of a list that comes to mind because it's just not as easy to go and find those splits. So I think, we overemphasize the beginning of the season, but I mean, to kind of go along with that, I think at least this year, I think the first month of the season is very key because of all of the games that they play in division. And I know we've talked about it, through spring training, but I think it's very important for the Indians to get off to a good start. I forget what the exact number is, but I know after today with Houston, they play 20 games in a row or something really close to that inside the Central Division. And,
yeah, it's huge.
To me, if you want to go back again, if you want to play hindsight, go back and look at last season. Where did it go wrong? It went wrong in April. I mean, they went 11-17, and you want to dive into all the reasons why they went 11-17. That's fine, but the fact of the matter is they dug themselves a hole that they could never dig all the way out of. And I don't think you can afford to do that again, and I especially don't think you can afford to do that while you're doing it against a whole bunch of division foes, because as you take one step back, they're all taking one step forward, and that hole becomes a little deeper.
Look at the difference right there. Actually, what you just said points. That's a great point, Mike. And by the way, it's Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. J-Rocc here. We're talking a little Indians baseball. Is the abundance of division games in the first month of the season, because an 11, let's just use last year's numbers, 11-17 or whatever start, you're buried twice as deep as you were last season if you do that again this year, because, as you said, the abundance of divisional games, because all of a sudden you're looking up at a big number in the games back column. And it's early in the season, you know what I mean? I get it. But that is a difference, because that's a way to quickly find yourself behind the 8 ball. And on the reverse, as you said, you get the plus side of it is you get some games in hand if you have a good run through this early run through the division, and that gives you a little bit of a cushion to ride through into the summer months.
Absolutely. And no matter, there's a lot of baseball managers that'll tell you they don't believe in momentum. Well, I believe in positive, and I do too. And I believe in positive, thinking. And, if you won yesterday and you won the day before, you show up to the ballpark today feeling pretty good about yourself and about your baseball team and your chances to win again. And when you start, stringing things together, that's when the positive momentum really starts to go. And I do believe there's a lot to be said about momentum and the importance of getting off to a good start. I think we've learned in 2 years with Terry Francona that team will never quit. But, I mean, look at it from their opponent's point of view. I mean, you take a team like the Chicago White Sox, who have made a lot of big moves this past winter, both via trade and free agent signings. They're kind of putting their roster together. If you can do your job as the Indians and win a number of those games, your good start is also going to impact their poor start.
Yep.
And maybe that momentum, isn't positive momentum for the Indians, but it's also negative momentum for the White Sox, where you have a bunch of guys that haven't played together who are now getting paid a whole lot more money. And I also believe in, guys getting their paycheck and not caring nearly as much about winning. So your paycheck is greatly inflated from where it was a year ago, and you're at the bottom of the standings. It doesn't bother you quite as much, and it's easy. June, we're 8 back already, but I'm back like that.
Mike, you're breaking up on me.
And bag it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You know what? I was going to ask you this anyway. Why don't I get this break in real quick? Why don't we try to get a better signal here, maybe in a couple of minutes? Why don't we pick this up in a few minutes on the backside of the break? Is that cool with you? Yeah, let's go ahead and I'll disconnect this and we'll reconnect with Mike. Hey guys, sit tight. We'll be right back. Mike Brandenberry continues the conversation. We're talking Indians, and we're going to talk some Cavaliers hoops, Browns news as well. While we've been talking to Mike, some of you may have heard this. Browns tight end Rob Housler, they agree to a contract. We talked about it yesterday. Housler came in for a talk. He decided to sign a contract, a 1-year deal. This is clearly a stopgap. The Browns were hoping to keep Jordan Cameron to go with Gary Barnidge and Jim Dre. So they're going to replace that with Housler here. Housler comes over from the Cardinals, 1-year contract. His last 2 seasons, he's had 84 receptions, 900 yards. Browns probably looking at him as I've got to think, if that's the case, then Gary Barnidge is your starting tight end next year, and Dre and Housler are your 2 and 3s. And I got to tell you, I'm not the biggest against Gary Barnidge, to be honest with you. But Housler doesn't do it for me because he doesn't block. That's his downfall as a tight end. And the Browns are all about a power running team, and they're tight ends that block. And so I think that may hurt him. But I really think Housler is going to be the 3rd tight end. I think it's going to be Barnidge and Dre. And they did a good job last year, if you remember. They're not the downfield threat that Jordan Cameron is, but I'm with it. I'm with those 2 guys. And so anyways, we'll talk some more about that as we get back here later on in the show. We'll get Mike Brandenberry back in on the conversation. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to get Mike back in on this, and we'll be right back after the news here on the Sports Fix.
Indian Fever.
We here at the Sports Fix want to make all of your dreams come true.
What about my dream?
Edith, I told you I can't build your candy house. It will fall down. The sun will melt the candy. It won't work.
It will if it never rains.
Oh, maybe not all of them. Get your fix on the Sports Fix.
This is head coach Gary Waters at Cleveland State, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
News break. Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. It is a tradition unlike any other. The Masters began this morning at Augusta National. That's where ESPN Radio's Dan Davis is spending his day.
Well, that running rebel from UNLV, Charlie Hoffman, got the good start today, Bob. He makes the turn at 2 under, also pars 10 to share the lead now with Ian Poulter, who has birdied the third to go 2 under par. Big group at 1 under includes Danny Willett, Gary Woodland, Russell Hanley, Kevin Streelman, Stephen Gallagher, and Keegan Bradley. Rory McIlroy and Phil Mickelson tee off within the hour. Tiger Woods hits the course at 1:48 Eastern. Possible thunderstorms in the afternoon forecast. Dan Davis at the Masters.
Dan will be reporting throughout the weekend on ESPN Radio, and live coverage of the first round begins this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting that Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell has been suspended for the first 3 games for violating the league's substance abuse policy. We're only 4 days into the baseball season. History's already been made. Adrian Gonzalez homered 3 times for the Dodgers last night. First player to hit 5 home runs in the first 3 games of the season in baseball history.
The new Subway Turkey Italiano Melt, fresh toasted with tender, juicy turkey, robust, generous salami, and pepperoni. These big 3 unite under melty provolone cheese and drizzled with tangy new Subway vinaigrette. There's only one place to get the Turkey Italiano Melt. Subway. Eat fresh.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Get boogie down, down on home ground. The boogie down, down on home ground. The boogie down, down on home ground. The boogie down, down. Let's go tonight. Down, down. Share the spice of life. Down, down. Dance like tonight.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live, rolling into the second hour of the show here. J-Rocc with you guys across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Let's groove, baby. A little Earth, Wind, and Fire. We're grooving. Mike Brandenberry's rolling through the mountains. I think he's back with us in a moment here from didthetryWinLastNight.com. We're talking some Indians. We're going to talk a little Cavs here as well. As I said before the break, you guys, Rob Housler signs backup tight end with the Browns. We'll talk some more about that later. I was talking, as I'm sitting here talking about, well, you know, it takes a while for the weather to warm up, and sometimes maybe that's why guys aren't hitting the ball and all of that good stuff. And meanwhile, Gonzalez has got 5 home runs, nailed 3 of them last night. How about that? Strong start to the season for him. We're going to talk about all of that. Get up with Mike in a moment. You can continue the conversation with us here on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet us at thesportsfixCLE. Email us thesportsfix@AOL.com. We're going to keep talking to Mike, and then we're going to get you out of here in time for some Indians baseball as they prepare for a 2:10, just about an hour and 5 minutes from now. First pitch here as Trevor Bauer takes the mound to start his season for the Cleveland Indians against another one of those. They got Dallas Keuchel and they got Wojciechowski, man. Another great name there over there on that Houston Astros pitching staff. Mike Brandenberry from didthetryWinLastNight.com. Mike, you still with me? Oh, you know what? I should let him talk first. He's not allowed to talk. There he is. Mike, you with me? He's not with me, apparently. Let's try to get him back in on the conversation. You guys keep it going. Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixCLE. And as I was saying there, Adrian Gonzalez, you heard it in the break, hit 3 home runs. He's now got a Major League Baseball record, 5 home runs in his first 3 games of the season. A couple of good starts for him against the Padres. And as he said, hey, I ran into 3 fastballs, and there they go. But it was going Gonzalez, if you don't mind the pun there. No problem warming up the offense. They're on the West Coast, so weather's a little bit warmer. Wait a minute. I think the Indians were in Houston, so I don't know that I can blame weather on it. But either way, a hot start there for Gonzalez. You guys listening to the Sports Fix here. A couple of other things in the news as we wait for Mike Brandenberry to join us again. In the NFL, by the way, John McMullen still tied up, unable to join us as scheduled. So look forward to getting him back rescheduled on the show as soon as possible. Le'Veon Bell from the Pittsburgh Steelers, running back, suspended for the first 3 games of the regular season, and he will also play the 4th game of the season for free, as he's going to be suspended an additional game check on top of the 3-game suspension there for violating the league's substance abuse policy. As you remember, last year it was when they were heading to that preseason game, the Steelers and the Eagles. It was LeGarrette Blount and Le'Veon Bell were arrested with pot and DUI charges. And as a matter of fact, the whole chain of things that led to Blount being released later on in the season, and then he went to the Patriots. Blount was suspended for the opener of the season. He only had the marijuana possession charge. Meanwhile, Le'Veon Bell also had the DUI charge added in on that as well. So there's the suspension. ESPN had initially predicted he would get a 2-game suspension, but it turns out to be 3 games and an unpaid 4th game for Le'Veon Bell. I saw in the Aaron Hernandez trial, I'll tell you what, I said the other day, I said it'll either take 30 minutes or it may take 3-4 days for them to come back here with this thing. I'm surprised they're still at it another day. Judge warning a TV station, threatens to ban them from their coverage in the building. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit amazed that they're still going strong with that one in the I thought it was kind of a foregone conclusion. I know they asked for some of the exhibits to be re-shown to them from throughout the trial, but here they go again. We're heading into a 3rd day now with that going on. J-Rocc here. You're listening to the Sports Fix. I'm going to crack open the phone lines until Mike Brandenberry calls in. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535, the number to call. Hit us up, Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. 216-539-7535. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Gotta love this email. As we were just getting ready to talk a little Cavaliers hoops with Mike. Anyway, the Cavaliers sent me the email here during the break here this morning to get credentials for the 2015 playoff run. It's been 5 years since they've sent us one of these emails before, and I'll never forget the last LeBron James season here in Cleveland was the first season that the Sports Fix was credentialed for any of the NBA play. That was right at the beginning. So yeah, the 2009, yep, and then 2010 was the first season that they credentialed the Sports Fix for anything, and it was a fun ride. I remember Vic and those guys going to some of the playoff games and that, and it was interesting. But anyways, just a throwback there. Thinking back, of course, Vic no longer with us, one of the guys that started the show. But anyways, now credentials coming through. Looking forward to being down there for some of that unbelievable playoff action. While I'm waiting to find Mike Brandenberry, he's lost in the mountains. I'm going to go to you guys. Caller, you're up on the Sports Fix.
Yeah, good afternoon, J-Rocc.
Hey, what's happening? This is my buddy Bruce. What's happening, Bruce?
Well, first off, did you happen to catch Jimmy Fallon last night?
I did not. What's up?
The Tribe is the number 1 hot dog in all of baseball.
Really? There you go. Number 1 hot dog, man. And the self-serve taps, man. By the way, man, I'll tell you what. I was joking with some buddies last night. I said, boy, imagine if they had those things back in like the bad days of Indians baseball, like in the 70s. Remember beer night? Imagine if they had self-serving. I still don't see, how does that work though? Because how do you cut a guy off? You know what I mean? I don't know, but I was joking with somebody. I said, boy, beer night would have been every night if they had the self-serving taps back in the day.
Yeah, even at $7 a beer, we're going to see a lot of people being laying over the barrel. So
is there going to be people there watching that? Because if not, what would stop a bunch of crazy, middle 20s, frat guys from opening up underneath the tap and just? I mean, are they self-controlled? Do they only pour out so many?
Yeah, it only pours out a glass full.
Yeah, so
it's actually censored.
Yeah, well, I guess, I don't know. I think there's some tomfoolery potential there in that. But what do you think about the park, Bruce, while we're talking about it? I'm curious.
Well, I went down and checked it out last week, and like I said, it's still a little too white. I think it's going to be a distraction to the left-handed batter since we have a left-handed hitting lineup.
Right.
To see all that white out there.
I don't like that. Let me ask you something. You heard some of the suggestions that we've made, different guys have made. I mean, what do you like? I mean, some people have said paint it green. Some people, I was talking about painting montages or just the different, players that have played for, not their names, but actual artwork, something to make it.
Now, I kind of like that idea, the one that you came up with yesterday, where just like the, like the old-time players or, even the new-time players, like the guys on the current roster.
Right.
Just, have not caricatures, but actual, pictures
paintings,
of them in action.
Like at the Browns Stadium, and I know you're not the biggest Browns fan, but, they've got in the Heritage Hall area and thing, they got the big, they got them up on the walls, the big montages. Just make those white boxes montages of all different stuff, of guys sliding into second and Omar jumping up with the double play.
Throwing the first, right, complete the double play.
A bell with the bicep shot. Some of the famous images in Indians history, and then you get a local artist to do it and put it on there. I think that could be really cool. And then the cool thing about it is you could even run a fan. The Indians love to do Twitter campaigns and get the social media going. You can let the fans vote. Give them 20 or 30, and they get to pick 15 of them, and you let them decide how the ballpark's going to get decorated. I just think the white boxes look like we can't sell these stores anymore, so we're putting the wall up and we're going to pretend that this isn't a store. I think it's too, number one, it points out the spaces, and I just think something else needs to be on there. If nothing else, paint them green.
Well, yeah, that too. Now, my suggestion was, okay, I don't know if you've actually seen the actual white boxes with the retired numbers and the names.
Numbers and the players, yeah, the names, yep.
Okay, that is just too plain. I mean, they're not even in order. It should have been, Earl Averill and then, Feller, right on, or Boudreaux and then Feller and then right on down the line.
They go in the order they were retired, right? Not the order of the numbers. Isn't that what they do?
I believe that's the way they did it.
Yeah.
But I think it should have been done in numeral order, with 455 being the last one.
I know what you're saying, because it looks better to the eye when you go in number order and they go lowest to highest. But I think that the only reason the Indians did it the way they did is because I think they put it up in the order that they were put in to the hall, or excuse me, the retired numbers. But I don't know.
Okay, now, with that being said, I mean, they could have painted, a small picture of Feller on the box. Like him throwing the ball or the high leg kick.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean, So I think I'm far from the only person that's got that idea, and I'm sure that they're going to hear that enough this year that they'll probably do something else with it, But
okay, and the championship banners, the wooden championship banners that they have lined up, they used to have them on the front of the stands. They have moved them to the back. The actual store signs are bigger than the actual retired numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just looks too. It looks cluttered, and it looks just generic, I believe is the word I'm looking for. They could have done a lot more to pizzazz it up.
Yeah.
And what do you do? If the tribe, let's not say that they fall out of the pennant race or anything, but what do you do in September when nobody's out there? Do you stand cardboard cut-ups, and put them, behind the boxes to make it look like there's people out there?
No, I hear you, man.
That was one of my suggestions that, of course, Curtis Stanberg didn't buy that. But, it was just a suggestion, to make it look like there's more people in the stadium than 9,000,
No, I hear you, Bruce. I'm getting ready to get Mike back on with us. Before I let you go, outside of the aesthetics of the park here, man, how you feeling? First couple games, I know your boy Trevor Bauer takes the mound today for Game 3 for the Indians. I know you're not sold on him. I'm with you. I want to see how he comes out first game of the season.
Actually, with Trevor Bauer, I think he's, I think the over and under is hitting 3 out of the park. So, I'm going to have to go with the under, but I'm looking for at least, a couple of balls going out of the park today with him
really?
pitching.
You think
I
he's
have
going to continue that
no
over
confidence
from spring?
in him at all.
Well, that's what I want to see. I want to see if what he's doing in the spring really was experimenting and if he is locked in here when we start. It'd be interesting to see how this one goes here. Plus, it's the first afternoon game here, so it'll be interesting.
Now, see, I'm looking the opposite direction. I'm looking to see how long he stays in the starting rotation.
Oh, well, there you. Wow. Well, you're really not projecting things for him this season, are you, man? Wow.
No, not at all. I just don't have any confidence in him at all.
Oh, well, we'll see. He gets his first chance to win you over, Bruce, today as he goes out there and tries to win this series for the Indians in the getaway game here today as he takes them out against my man Asher Wojciechowski. Again, cool name.
Yeah,
there.
what
that
another
one's in just
name.
a few minutes. My man, Bruce, have a good one, my friend. I'm going to get Mike back in on the show.
All right, there you go. Thank you, J-Rocc.
You got it. Good phone call, Bruce. You guys keep the conversation going. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. And remember, just because the phones aren't open doesn't mean that you can't call anytime, day or night. 216-539-7535. If you're listening to the show at 3 in the morning in Timbuktu, you can call and say, hey, it's 3 in the morning in Timbuktu, and I got something to say, doggone it. 216-539-7535, the number to call. Again, you guys, make sure you write that down anytime, day or night. Hit up the hotline. And as we said, we're closing in under an hour now till the Indians get this thing going. So we're going to get Mike Brandenberry back in on the conversation now. He was lost in the wilderness, but I do believe we have recovered him. Mike Brandenberry?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Are here. Welcome in, my friend. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I think the whole time I've been gone, all we've done is go downhill. So anything is possible.
That's it, man. You got yourself out of the high spot. Maybe got yourself into an area. I don't even know where we were when we left off. We were talking, of course, about the tribe as they get ready. What do you think, too? Curious, because I heard some rumblings, and Dan Wismar and I were talking about it earlier this week, that perhaps there may even be, I know, pause for dramatic effect, a crowd there on Saturday for Game 2 of the season.
Yeah, I have heard those same crazy, wild rumors. I've heard it. I mean, the weather's supposed to be nice this weekend. Corey Kluber's pitching on Saturday.
Yeah.
I hope there's a good crowd, Jerry. And I guess I would say I really hope there's not an embarrassing crowd. I almost feel dirty that we've lowered our standards down to. We're not looking for 35,000.
We're looking for 20
would be nice. Not having 12 for Game 2 of the season would be great. So, especially when you have your Cy Young Award winner who just committed to your organization for the next 5 to 7 years. It would be nice if we had a good crowd there. So I hope that those rumors turn out to be true.
And that's going to be a heck of a pitching matchup on both sides. I mean, as it stands now, it's scheduled for Kluber and Price. So that's going to be a heck of a Saturday game there. 4 o'clock, 4:10 there on the Saturday afternoon deal. That's a good one. And you got to think, first home appearance of the Cy Young Award winner and all of that stuff should play right into that. And then, you got to think that the way the first couple of games, and this is just the way it works early season in Cleveland, I think the way the first 2 games of that series go will determine the crowd on Sunday, not just, the weather and all of that, but if the Indians win them both or play well or it's a good, exciting first couple of games, I think you'll have an uptick in the crowd on Sunday. If things don't go well in the first 2, then I think you're going to have a poor Sunday crowd.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think, that is one of the many reasons where I think that it is important to get off to a good start, because just what you said right there, you get a little momentum going, and, everybody gets excited for the opener, and there'll be a big crowd, and there'll be a ton of people watching, and, if they win, and then, if Saturday goes well, then like you said, then I think there's a better chance for a little bit of an uptick on Sunday. I'll make the major announcement. I am not even waiting for the momentum to start to build. I have already committed to Sunday, and I will be there both Friday and Sunday.
There you go, man, and, seriously, man, I think talking about momentum and building and all of that, it's all going to tie in together here, as we've been saying, when you start to get it starts to get a lot more tangible when there's only 4 games left for the Cavaliers before they are into the playoffs here, and all of this good feeling coming down there. And I'm with you, man. I think that the better start that the Indians get here, the more they latch onto that, the more Cleveland. I mean, there's all kinds of things. I know they're different sports, but I mean, hey, even this is small. This is maybe only a few hundred people that may fall into this category, but there's only so many playoff game tickets that you can buy and go to. But if you're in the mood to go downtown and be in some crowds and spend some money and be a Cleveland sports fan, man, right next door, there's some stuff going on too. There's little ways that this stuff can help the Indians, and it all builds. And then when the smoke clears, if the Indians have done well in the first month and a half, 2 months of the season, coming off of whatever playoff run, man, I think they're just really primed to continue to keep this momentum. I'm with you. It's all reasons why it's going to be an important thing here and a way to start. You mentioned too, we talk all the time about the Game 2 crowd. You saw it in Houston, by the way. The opener sellout, and then the next day you can talk to your friend from across the building. We saw a little bit of that in Houston.
Yeah, not a big crowd last night. Not a lot of people with high hopes for the Houston Astros season. So,
and that was with a 1-0 start. They were undefeated at the time, and they still had trouble,
That's
man.
True.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I would assume that it'll be a sparse crowd, a friends and family gathering this afternoon, too.
Sparse is a good word because it's an afternoon game in the middle of the week, and it's still school. All the same excuses, except they're not cold. That's the only difference is that they're not cold. Except with them, they'll say it's too hot. They'll be like, man, we got that April heat wave. It was like 97 degrees. We couldn't go, man. We weren't going to those games, man. It was too hot. It's too hot in April. You know how it is, man. But it's just the opposite of what we get here. But seriously, and you know what? Hey, there's a perfect segue into the other thing we were going to talk about anyway. All of that momentum coming from the other building there with the Cavs. I mean, I thought last night was a good one because the Cavs tried to roll away with it. They tried to put the thing away at halftime, and then the Bucks were just stubborn enough not to let that happen. They made the Cavs have to fight down to the end of it, and it felt a lot more at the end like they earned something when they were done, and now they can get into resting for a couple of games mode heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kind of feel like even maybe the last week and a half, I don't want to say that they've been coasting, but that level of intensity maybe they had in January and February and the early part of March hasn't been there. I mean, they know they have their playoff spot, and after last night they officially clinched the 2 seed. They've definitely downshifted a little bit in the last week, and I won't be surprised if there's a little bit more downshifting and some guys maybe have their minutes taken back a little bit, or an extra night off for some guys to get ready. But I kind of feel like it's weird, but if this regular season is almost kind of like on a bell curve, I feel like, they were ramping up. We were all so excited for the season to begin as they played the preseason, and just to get to that opening night and to have all of that excitement and that emotion. And now I feel like we're kind of like going through that process again, because this last couple of weeks, in some weird ways, kind of like turned into the preseason part 2, because while they're playing for something, they're also playing to get healthy and be prepared for the season that really matters, that starts in a little less than 2 weeks from now at this point. So yeah, I think last night's a nice win where they looked like they were going to be able to run away with it. And I think, to me, this is one of those small differences from the first time LeBron was here until now. Is there were times where I think in the past they would run away with games, but there were times where, like last night, if the opponent would come flying back, they could never kind of flip the switch back on or shift back and really kind of dig in and kind of grind it out at the end after it looked like a game that maybe they could run away with.
You know what you just reminded me of? You literally just described, if you guys think back about 6 years ago, that Orlando series. That was really the beginning of the end for LeBron's first run here in Cleveland. They were all prepped and built to take on a certain type of team in Boston, and they ended up with that upset, and they ended up with Orlando in the second. It was the second round, I believe. Maybe it was the finals. Whatever
Eastern
it was.
Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah,
that's what it was.
That was the year that I thought the Cavs were going to the finals. And
for sure.
Win the whole thing.
Everybody thought they were winning it all. That was the 66-win season, and that was just one of the best seasons in Cavs regular season history. They rolled through the playoffs up until that point in time, to where there was no challenge at first for them going through the playoffs, and you had visions of, wow, they're going to finish the job from 2007, and then just like you described, man, you hit that team, and they went up big in every game. If you guys remember, it feels now, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't this dramatic, but it feels like the Cavs were up 15, 20 points at the beginning of every one of those games, and looking like they were going to run Orlando out of the arena, and instead Orlando was nailing all those threes, and it was still the Dwight Howard era, and they were just killing us from three, and then they would swing that momentum, and then the Cavs never could get it. Each one of those games, they couldn't get it back in. I think they only won the one on the buzzer beater by LeBron or whatever. Otherwise, it would have been even worse, and they ended up each game, and they bounced back the next game, and you're like, yeah, that's what I thought. They're rolling them now, and then they would lose it, and they could never turn it back on. But this team has that ability to go to sleep, which you hate, but to wake back up at the end and get it done, and you're going to need that in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree, and I think this, like you said, I mean, this team is wired a different way, and I think for a million reasons, obviously. I mean, there are really, taking Anderson Varejao out, I mean, LeBron is the only common thread between the two teams anymore. So
yeah.
But they're just wired a totally different way, and I mean, I think LeBron is wired a totally different way, from 6 years ago till now too. And I mean, I think he's learned a lot in his career about, in my mind, I think he's learned a lot about pacing himself. And there are people that are critical of him, and whether he played hurt or his comment about chill mode early in the year and things like that. I mean, I think, in my mind, I just think that was a poor way of saying that he was pacing himself, and I think, that it's a long season and the playoffs is what matters. And let's be honest, we just talked about how important it is for the Indians to get off to a good start, but a game in December for the Cavs is nowhere near as meaningful as the ones that they're about to play. And I think that they're just, I look back at that team 6 years ago, and I almost feel foolish for believing how strongly I believed that they would be a championship team when really they were, quite far away at that point.
Me too.
They won a ton of regular season games that really didn't matter. And, I think the quality of their 52, 53 wins, whatever they end up with here, in this regular season, matters a lot more than the 66 that they racked up that year. And I think, we'll see the benefits of it, in May and hopefully in June.
I cannot say it any better than what you just did. I look back as well and I go, really? How did they win 66 games? How did we think? Because they were ended the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. You're like, how did they roll like that? They got favorable matchups. Everything worked out well for them. And then when the rubber hit the road, it all fell apart. And I feel completely different about this team. But that season, more than 2009 is the one that makes people afraid to go all the way in the deep end with this Cavs team this year, because they felt like you did, like I did, so sure that 2009, I guarantee you, more than 2007, if there was a team that Cavs fans felt was the one, that was it, was 2009, their second last season of the LeBron first run around. But this one feels, even with 15 less victories, it doesn't matter, feels completely stronger and different. And I dare anybody to show me the team that's going to win 4 out of 7 games against this team. That's the trick, is I know they can be beat. They can be beaten by good teams. They can be beaten by anybody once or twice. But they're such a smart basketball team, mostly LeBron and Kyrie Irving and David Blatt as the coach, that I just think with a day to bounce back from any loss, it's going to be really hard for a team to pin 4 losses in a series on this team.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I said that in our travels, we stopped the Cavs game on Sunday to kind of have a stopping point or a resting point in the car. And that was one of the things that I said as I watched the game is, and there are good teams that can get the Cavs for a night, but whether the Cavs have home court or not, I don't even know that matters too much, because I don't know. They play well on the road, too. And that, to me, that is a huge, huge difference between, the teams that they used to have and this one. And, I used to feel like they won almost every night at home. They could beat anybody at home. And they beat the bad teams on the road, and they often got beat or even embarrassed against a good team on the road. And the Cavs, nobody embarrasses the Cavs, first of all, at this point. You might beat them, but you're gonna have to bring your A game to beat them. And I certainly can't see them in the first 2 rounds with home court advantage getting beat 4 times out of 7 games. Somebody taking 1 or 2 in Cleveland. I just can't see that. But even if you get to an Eastern Conference Finals with Atlanta, I just have a hard time seeing them get 4 out of 7. And part of me thinks, another reason to really like the Cavs is one of the things I don't like about Atlanta is I feel like they've played their best basketball already. And
yeah, me too.
The Cavs obviously have played much, much, much better in the second half than they ever did in the first. And, I still feel like they're trending upward.
Yeah, me too. I think that Atlanta peaked a bit. I'm not saying that they're going to just lose. Although I've had more than one person say, watch for the first round upset on the Hawks. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go that far. But I do agree with you. I think that they may have peaked early. They remind me of some of those Cavs teams that we were talking about, man. They just peaked early and then couldn't get it back come playoff time, man. They lost that eye of the tiger. They were at their best in January or whatever, instead of when they went that whole month without losing a game. They peaked then. And the Cavs, it so reminded me of those old teams, like you said, and they never lost at home, but they were on the road. Now, it doesn't matter. Western Conference team, they beat them. On the road, they beat them. At home, they're practically unbeatable. So that's those are all reasons why you guys should get really excited for this playoff run, because it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, man. And do you agree with me? I don't believe there can be, outside of you get swept in the first round, maybe, but I don't believe there can be a bad ending to this playoff run because of how long they've stunk and how long it's been with LeBron leaving and all of that. No matter what, yes, there'll be a day of disappointment if they were to lose in the second round, third round, or in the NBA Finals. There will be a day of, damn, the Cavaliers lost. And then after about 24 hours, it'll be like, look where we were. Look where they got to in one summer, and imagine where they're going from here, because none of us planned on winning it in the first year anyway. So I think that very quickly, no matter how this ends, it's going to be a positive end for the Cavs and the fan base no matter what.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I feel the same way that you do about that. I wouldn't say that there's no possible situation where it could go bad, but I think they're out there. I mean, obviously, like you said, if they got upset in the first round, but
right.
I mean, to me, for all the reasons that we just outlined, for as well as they've played in the second half, for as well, they're nearly impossible to beat at home, and for as well as they play on the road. I mean, to me, if they got upset by Chicago or Toronto in the second round, I would find that pretty disappointing. And I'll be honest, I hate when I hear people say, well, we weren't expecting to win it in the first round. Or
I know, because
year.
Just because you weren't expecting it doesn't mean that window's not there and you go and you do it and you win it.
It doesn't mean that it's acceptable to not
I know
win.
what you mean. I'm speaking in general. I'm not preconditioning.
Yeah, to me,
lose.
Going into the playoffs, the Cavs are the best team in the NBA. I mean, I don't know that I would take the Cavs over the entire field, but if I have to pick one team today to win, it's the Cavs. And I don't really care how long guys have been on their roster, whether it's a day, a month, or 6 months, or 10 years. I think they're the best team, and I think they're put together that way, and they're having fun, and all the talk about chemistry, look at J.R. Smith goofing around after the game last night. I mean, that team's got chemistry,
Yeah, they do.
Chemistry's really good when you're winning, that goes back to the whole momentum thing, They needed time to get to know each other and develop chemistry when they were 19 and 20, All of a sudden, chemistry seemed to be really good when J.R. Smith started draining shots and Timofey Mozgov showed up and opened everything up in the middle, So I see where you're going, and I do believe in some regards that, there are going to be days in the playoffs where, guys like Kyrie Irving and Tristan Thompson, who haven't played in those games, they're going to be tested. But I think I don't think it's acceptable to just say, well, we're probably not going to win it in the first year.
I know what you're saying.
I'm 35. I'm 35. I've been waiting for a championship for 35 years. I'm not really interested next year. This is the best Cavs team I've seen. My birthday's June 20th, and that's what I want for my birthday.
That's what I want.
A parade. That's what I want. Just, I want a parade.
I'm with you.
And I'll tell you, I ask people on this trip all the time, what do you think of the Cavs? And most of them are like, they're going to win it. They're going to win it. I think that's the common
I totally
fan
get
thought.
you. And I think the same thing. I just don't believe that if it falls short, I believe there'll be a day of disappointment, and then it will. I just don't see it being a bad thing. I don't. I mean by that, the public, the way they accept it, the way they take it. Again, I'm with you on everything. I think they're the best team in the NBA. I think they've proven they can beat any team in the West. I just said I don't see any team in basketball 7 games winning 4 of them from this Cavaliers team. But at the end, I don't think anything short of an absolute disaster. Obviously, as you said, the scenarios are out there where I could be wrong, but in general, I think you're looking at a positive, again, and I think of that more from Indians terms, a positive wave of momentum to ride right into the quarter pole of the Indians season, which is about where they'll be by that point. It's close to it,
Yeah. I think, to me, I think the only team that truly scares me, and like I said, I think they've already played their best ball, is Atlanta. I mean, I could see a situation where Chicago or Toronto gives them a series, but I'd be pretty surprised at this point to see them win, a 7-game series against the Cavs. And the Cavs had success against Chicago even early in the year, and when Derrick Rose was healthy. So, I mean, I know Chicago's a sexy pick by people to get healthy and get hot, but I mean, the Cavs have beat them when the Cavs were at their worst, and arguably the Bulls were at their best. So, they just don't scare me. And like you said, the West, the Cavs have had their way with the West. So, I think short of Atlanta getting the Cavs, I think the Cavs are the team to beat.
I'm with it. From your lips to his ears, her ears, or whatever. Let's make it happen. We got 4 more regular season games until the ride begins. Mike, your ride continues. I know you'll be riding all the way back up here, and then, of course, opening weekend, you're out there a couple of games, and then we'll be able to catch up next week, and we're just rolling. It's just baseball season now. There's no more big, milestones to begin with. No more opening days. We're just playing baseball.
Sounds good, my man. We'll have a larger, small sample size to talk about by the time.
Yeah, we get to say it's still early 800 more times next week, man. So I'm going with your axiom, man. We don't need to say it. If you don't know that it's still early, A, you're not listening to this show, and B, you're not part of this conversation. If you don't know that it's still early, I don't know that we need to say anything else. So I'm with you, Mike. Be safe, of course, with the rest of your ride back, and then enjoy some Indians baseball home opener style tomorrow against the Tigers.
Sounds good, my friend. I'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Mike Brandenberry, didthetribewinlastnight.com. Make sure you bookmark it. He's here every Thursday on the show. Our friend, good friend of the show. And hey, man, don't forget Jonathan Knight, sports writer extraordinaire, and now a part of the Did the Tribe Win Last Night team as well. So make sure you check those guys out. Let's take our final break. Oh, man, we're down into the home stretch. T-minus 30 minutes till Indians baseball. We're going to take our final break and set up our final segment, and then we're going to get out of here so we can all do a little Tribe time now, baby. Indians baseball around the corner. Final segment of the Sports Fix is coming up next.
And you can't tell that one goodbye. Oh, put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize.
Yeah.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
SportsFix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The SportsFix.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys. Listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, wrapping things up. I mean, we didn't expect nothing but a crazy day as usual here. John McMullen fell off, unfortunately. We'll get him back on the show here. Mike Brandenberry made up for it with an extended conversation today, guys. Fun show, as always. Spread the word if you like what we do. Tell somebody else to tune in. Click that little share button and say, hey, listen to today's Sports Fix. They had a nice conversation with the man in the mountains, and he got lost, and then he came back and everything. But share the show if you like what we do, guys. Welcome back in. J-Rocc with you here on the Sports Fix, and we're rolling things to the end, getting ready for some Indians baseball in more ways than one, as the Indians play just moments from now live today on Thursday, and then, of course, the home opener tomorrow. We will not be live in studio for tomorrow's broadcast. We're going to play we're going to throw the old Tom Hamilton throwback interview from a couple months ago. We'll play that this weekend across the network, so you guys that download the delay shows will be able to get that. If you haven't heard it, it was a great time. It'll just be a good little tie-in for Indians home opener weekend. You've got the Detroit Tigers into town. Corey Kluber, David Price will be a good one on Saturday. You get to see the Indians at home against the Tigers, man. I mean, that's a great way to start the season here for the Cleveland Indians. By the time we come back on Monday, there'll be 4 more games into the Indian season. Now we'll have a little small sample size there to start looking at a little bit. Cavaliers, they'll be just 2 games. I mean, we are, 1 week from today, all this talk about playoffs, 1 week from today, we are out of the regular season and into playoff mode. The Cavaliers end the regular season Wednesday, April 15th, next Wednesday. They've got 2 games over the weekend. They've got the Celtics at home and away on Friday and Sunday. Then we've got the Pistons on Monday and Washington. Last 2 games at the Q. You got Fan Appreciation Day. That's Monday and Wednesday of next week. And then, bam, playoff mode. Here we go. And then the next weekend is going to be all full steam ahead at that point, you guys. So there's tons of basketball, baseball to watch this weekend. The Gladiators return home for their home opener, looking to go 3-0 in the Arena League season. The Monsters have some big ones here tonight, 7 p.m. If you're a Monsters fan, you got to be at the Q. They need to pack the house against Rochester. They've got Rochester tonight, back-to-back road games on Saturday and Sunday against Adirondack, and as Doug Plagan said yesterday, these 3 games will decide if the final 3 games are worth anything for the Monsters here. They've got to grab as many of these 6 points as they can, and it starts tonight at the Q. So, I mean, here's a whole slate of Monsters action this weekend as well. Monday is going to be chock full of goodness here when Dan Wismar is back in the house with us. Guys, man, look at Bruce in the chat room, man. I remember that game, 1987. I don't remember that game per se, but I remember the stat line about it. Indians set a little bit of Major League Baseball history when they had Phil Negro start the game, and Steve Carlton in his final, I think it was his final season, he was coming out of the pen, and he got the save. And it was the first time in baseball history that you had a pair of pitchers team up in a game that had two 300-game winners. They had together in the same game. And a little tiny unique piece of Indians history that just happened to work out that way. And that was one of the only things that worked out in 1987, if you guys remember. I know that had to tie into, that's one of those things when people were looking at the names on the roster. They're going, yeah, all right, got some young guns, got Negro and Steve Carlton, and they did not realize that, the dates on the top of the roster matters almost as much as the names that are on them. 1987, not go so well for the Cleveland Indians, but that was the one little bright spot early on in the season. Good one. Bruce has always got those little go-tos over there when it comes to baseball. Oh, speaking of a little go-to, I saw an interesting thing. I was going to bring this up with Mike Brandenberry earlier, and we got away from it when he got lost in the mountains. But I'm all about any time you can knock Alex Rodriguez off of any of the records that he's set with his performance-enhancing ways through. Look, man, to me, Barry Bonds can at least go, you can't prove I did anything. You can prove that A-Rod did. I think that should just instantly invalidate all of his statistics. But anyways, Mike Trout, 99 home runs. He's already passed 100 career stolen bases. He has 64 days to hit one more home run. He's 23 years, 245 days old. If he does it in the next 64 days, if he hits one more home run, Mike Trout will become the youngest player in Major League Baseball history above Alex Rodriguez to hit 100 home runs and have 100 stolen bases to start his career. Think about that. 23 years, 245 days, man. There's a bright, bright future in front of Trouty over there for sure. That's the future of the game, guys like that. But I think we got some of the future of the game over here, too. Michael Brantley supposed to go out there and play today. I don't know if you guys have got a final anything here. I haven't checked. I haven't gotten anything from the Indians one way or the other while we've been on the air. Had some back stiffness, and it pulled him out of the game yesterday. You don't like to see that early, but as Terry Francona said, it was something that we had a little bit of issues with in the spring, and we don't want to make this any worse. It kind of reached out and grabbed him, so we went ahead and aired on the side of caution. Hopefully Dr. Smooth able to smooth it out and get back out there and play a little ball today against the Astros. Trevor Bauer getting ready to take the mound for the Indians against the Astros. Then you got a 3-game set with the Tigers this weekend. You got Cavs basketball, Monsters hockey, all kind Masters, of course, going on. Tiger Woods just teed off to begin his latest foray at the Masters. I don't know if you guys saw the odds, but it was the largest odds Tiger Woods has ever faced in his career at the Masters. He came in at 40-1 odds, and it was way further odds than anything he's ever had in his career heading into this one. So we'll see if he's got it, if they're boating well there or what. What's he got? I personally do believe that Tiger Woods has more to come. I'm not saying it's this week or this tournament, but I don't believe we've seen the absolute last of Tiger Woods. But yeah, he's got his worst odds in his career here at the Masters. He just teed off to start things. 4 of his last 5 majors, Tiger Woods has bogeyed in his first 2 holes. So when he's going to start off bad, he usually starts off bad pretty early. So let's see what Tiger Woods can do. In the last 6 Masters he's appeared in, he's been par or better in the opening round. So let's see if he can do that again to start off his Masters run today. Maybe it's Rory, maybe it's Mickelson, maybe Bubba Watson. Lots of names out there that could pull this one in. Let's see. Right now, Hoffman leads that thing at 5 strokes under. We'll know who won the Masters when we get back, too. So there's a reason to go enjoy your weekend. Have some fun. Enjoy Tom Hamilton on tomorrow's edition of the Sports Fix. Go Indians all weekend long at home. Hey, go you guys to the park and to the game. Go fill that place up on Saturday and Sunday and get back here Monday, live, noon, same bad time, same bad channel, baby, here on the Sports Fix Radio Network. We love you, Cleveland and beyond. Enjoy it all. Get back here Monday, and that's where we'll see you right here on The Fix.
Orchestra. Hey. We rock our city. Yeah.